Hello, hello. Welcome back to yet another stream. We're on day 86 of 100 and we're continuing with our visualize data with a bar chart project, which is hopefully going to be something that we can get the hang of soon enough, because it's been quite interesting thus far, not gonna lie. Just look at the requirements here. Let's make sure our X scale is correct today. Over 0 our width. And it's min over max. I think that's good. And then our Y scale. Oh, we don't have a Y scale, that would also explain it. But we should make one. Const Y scale equal to D3. That scale is going to be a linear scale, and the domain needs to be set to always 0. Where are we? No, what's this one? Back here. What would our Y scale? We also need a Y-axis as well, not just the one. Don't we? We don't need this, do we? We just need a axis scale, Y-axis. wait. D3 dot was axis to the left. No, we do have a Y scale. D3 dot scale linear dot domain 0 to the GDP max that we have. Dot range between SVG height or 0. That's our Y scale. Then Y axis is based off D3 dot axis left. I think suppose the x-axis opposite of and then we need to call our y-axis somewhere. Yeah. For that we needed to append a G for x-axis, give it an attribute of ID, and the ID is x-axis. Then we needed to flip it around, I remember. One of these was to flip them. Yep. Was it this one? One of these you had to flip them the right way around. Those are the wrong way around. Wasn't that one? Hey Benjamin, how's it going? Insert SVG elements. Oh, it was this one. Yeah, it was this one because it's upside down now. And are we using bars? We are using bars, aren't we? The y coordinate. Where do we have a y coordinate? I think we already have that. We have the SVG height minus d. If I didn't have this, and I just had it as SVG height, whoopsie, then our bar would be upside down. So I did flip that yesterday already. Good. Didn't realize that. No? Doesn't even show. Ah! Okay. There we are. Wow, school's a rough place, hey Benji? I'm sorry you had to go through that. Where's our bar chart now? Where's our bar chart? What happened? Literally nothing is showing now, why? We didn't check. Oh, the import here. But I still have that import there. That's bad. Then I should be able to do SVG height, shouldn't I? There we go. So without that, our bar will be upside down. Or just straight, yeah, without any steps. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We should probably get some margins in as well, shouldn't we? Where's our width, height, bar width? Bar margin left, what should we set ours? Do like 30 maybe? 30 pixels? And do margin right. Oops. I do the same. Right. No, what am I doing? Change this to right. Oh, not when I'm defining them. That. And then we got left, we got right. We need top and bottom. Do like 10 pixels. And bottom is gonna be like I don't know, like 20 pixels maybe? Yeah, Isaac, how's it going? Left, right, top, bottom. Okay, good. We got values. So then here, after I'm calling the x-axis, I need to transform it, if I remember correctly. So we've appended the G. Then can I do attribute transform? Then I remember it has to be translate, so we're gonna have to use string literals. We're not gonna do it like they did it. So translate. What was ours again? Margin left. So SVG margin left. That's gonna be the first one. Comma. SVG margin top. The left and top. Okay, hopefully that'll be good. Hopefully that changes it to something now. Let's see. So we want this to have some margins. Did it change it? Can't tell if it changed it. I guess there's one way to tell, right? Change the view. Was left, right? So if I do 130 by like 110, doesn't look different, does it? Do I need to wait? Let's look at our examples. I think we need a call after. So we do the attributes and then we call. It might have to do with the order in which we do it in. It still doesn't look different to me. Why? Isaac, I'm so out of my comfort zone here. I'm not gonna lie. Attribute transform translate. Margin bar left, margin bar top. It doesn't seem to do anything though. 30 and 10, and then we call the x-axis. It like literally doesn't look like it changes anything. So we need to SVG append. So that's what we're doing, right? G needs this. What is x-axis? What does x-axis do again? d3.axisBottom.scale. Why aren't we seeing it? Aren't we supposed to see a scale? We're supposed to see a scale, aren't we? But we're not seeing a scale. What is x-axis? It's d3.axis left. Doesn't the margin just add padding to the far left? Yeah, it actually might. I need to... It's supposed to be append G, right? So we append G to create a new element inside of the SVG. So we append G, we call... I should technically call x-axis first. Call the x-axis to do what it should do. Give it the attribute of ID and the x-axis. Then translate the margin left. Maybe this should be height. Let me try something. That actually might be the alignment and I might be getting confused. Oh, I got excited there for a moment. The X is at the bottom, but it's literally not even creating the X though. That's what bothers me. You know what I mean? This is where I need Christophorus, because he like did so well in this section. So there's our SVG, right? And here we're just selecting the element where we want to put the center. We're appending an SVG to it. We're setting the width, so the entire background, to the width plus, let's say, 50. And we're setting the height to the height plus 30. What does this do if I change it to larger numbers? I just want to see so I can make sure that I'm actually visualizing what I'm doing. Did that seem to change anything? Seemed to make it like a curve, didn't it? It's more curvy. Interesting. Okay. Let's comment this. So that's the SVG object. Then we want to create rectangles. That goes somewhere, that I remember. So we got the SVG, select all rectangles, and the data is going to be the scale GDP. Enter, append, react, oh, no, react rectangles. And we needed something about data date, right? Each bar should have the properties data date and data GDP containing date and GDP values. Okay, hold on, let's make sure we got that right. Dot attribute data date, which should be taking D and the index, which would then be, we would return what did we call our data? Data set, I think. Yeah. So data set that specific index. Is it the first one then? Let's see if that did it right. Each bar should have a data set now. D is not defined. Oh, because wait, what? Why do they make us struggle so hard? I thought it's whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. So we have attribute data date D. Hold on, this should be on one line. What's data set now? Oh, and that's supposed to be a return. There we go. And what is it supposed to return? Containing date and GDP values. Okay, it's changing. First of the first. Four, 7, 10. 1, 4, 7, 10. It's always in order. 1, 4, 7, 10. Okay, perfect. So the date worked. But don't we just have a date already? Don't I have date already? Where's my date? Years? Can I log? What was it? It was years, right? Yeah. Yeah, we have it, years. So let's just do years. That'll be much easier to know what's going on. So we're going to use years at that index. So instead of data set, where am I calling that now? There. Years, index. Whew! And for the GDP, we created a GDP, right? Yeah, we did. Okay, and then we need another one, right? And data GDP. So after attribute that, we need data GDP. So we're literally just going to copy this, and we're going to change data GDP, and that's literally just going to be GDP I, and that will then give us that. So now if we look at each one, we have a date and a date GDP. Okay, I just realized the date's going to be wrong because those are converted. Doesn't matter. What is the format supposed to be in? Containing date and GDP values. But what's the date value supposed to be? Let's run it so long. Let's see if we pass that part at least. Should have a title, cool. Should have a G element Y axis with corresponding ID of Y. No, we don't have that. My chart should have a rect element for each data point with a corresponding class of bar. Attribute class bar. Are you happy now? Let me shove that in there. And if you run now, yeah, we got 6 of 14. What did I pass? Tell me what I passed. My chart should have a rectangle with each data point with corresponding bar displaying the data. Each bar should have the properties data and data contains data. The bar elements data properties should match the order of the provided data. Expected Wednesday blah 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 to equal. Okay, so it's the wrong thing because I converted it. And what did we do? We said new date. Years. Literally just gonna do this. Map. Date. 0. Can I do that? Oh, this is such bad practice. But there's our date. And we use our date object. Hopefully I improve for the next project. Because then I just do date. And then that will resolve that issue. Apparently we won't display anything. Just the way we like it. Oh, that's the X scale. I put it in the wrong place, sorry. My bad. This needs to be date. There we go, that's correct. So if we run tests, each parse element height should accurately represent the data's corresponding GDP. Expected 2.431 to equal 2.463. Don't worry, this is not even JavaScript, forget for Isaac. I mean, yes, it is JavaScript, it's a library, so you need to know exactly what the library is doing. I know JavaScript and none of this makes sense to me. And it's statistics. Something I've also never done. The data attributes, fuck, you want me to align it? I don't even know how to freaking create the x-axis. Jeez, one step at a time, please. Expected 2.431 to equal 2.463. 2.431, 2.463, close this, close it. 2.461. 2.46. Where are you even seeing it? These GDP start at 243. Do they not? 243.1. Oh, that doesn't matter. It's getting this. These heights. There's something about this. The heights need to be longer. So our X needs to be X scale, and our years and our Y needs to be our height minus D, and then our width should be our bar width. Scale GDP. Wait, shouldn't this be D? As in, you know what I mean? Shouldn't this be D? So, D. That's the issue. We're setting all the heights to be 100. Shouldn't they be the same height as the value? I think we found the issue of why our line wasn't wonky. I mean, why it was wonky. Oh yes! 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 Oh! That explains it. I was setting the height to 100 each time. Look at that. Now the height's gonna be 183. 183.586. Don't ask me how or why, please don't. It's a graph, right? We did it. It's a graph. It's a fugly graph, but it's a graph nonetheless. Now we have to make the graph look pretty. Where's my freaking x-axis? Okay, so we did that. That was the issue. Wait, let me put height back to 100 again. I need to understand why. I want to understand what we were doing. Oh, so it was always 100. and it never knew what else to do. So it moved, because remember we're moving it on the Y scale, but the bar itself was always 100. But now when we switch it to the data value, the X and Y is top right corner of the rectangle? Huh? What do you mean? The X and Y is top right corner of the rectangle. No, it's top left, you mean. So you have to have variable bar length to make it always reach the bottom. Yeah, I flipped it around, that's what I did. It starts at the top left, 0, 0 is here. So we've done that. Cool, so we got a bar. How many more tests do we pass with this? 8. We need a y-axis. Let me first get the freaking x-axis working, because this isn't working. So this is what the graph. I'm gonna literally call it the graph. The SVG object. The graph. So that's what handles what it looks like, right? We create every rectangle, we put the information there, we give it a class of a bar, we set in the XY coordinates of the bars, we give the width of the bars. Let's comment this so it makes it easier for us. Comments help, don't they? I mean, this one's pretty redundant. Add the bar class to the bar. Attribute class bar. Whatever, as long as we comment it out. I think we should remove this, because this is nothing to do with the bar we created. And this should be called the x-axis, and we should call SVG dot append G, call x-axis, give it an attribute ID of x-axis, and transform translate. Is it a graph? Yeah, it is a graph. So add the x-axis to the graph. So we're appending, calling x-axis, cool. And then we do the exact same thing here for the y-axis. Y-axis, ID y-axis, transform translate. We're gonna get there. You know what I just realized? I just realized something. This should be 0. Not for that one. This, we made another miscalculation. This needs to be SVG height. The x-axis. Zero height. And the y-axis I don't think needs one. Let's see what this does. Can only work or not work. Oh my god. So that was the issue. Freaking watch. Watch. This freaking margin. Ha 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 ha. So the reason we have it at the height is because that pushes it down. Does that make sense? If I had it like this, for example, guess where it will be? See that? This is too advanced for me, dude. I'm never doing this. He says, and then later on get better at it. I think it's all just practice. So the reason for this is, let's look at transform translate CSS, okay? So transform translate defines a 2D translation from 0, well, from X to Y. Transform 2010. Do you see? So it basically moves it to the specified location. So when we set 600, remember it starts here, 0, 0, right? So 600 would be somewhere down at the end. So that's why it's at the end of our width. And then 0 means on the edge. So if I had this at, let's say, 200 by height, it will be 200 padded to the left, if that makes any sense. It starts at 200, do you see? Make better sense now? So we say 0, it starts on the corner. So remember 0, 0 is here. 0, 0 on the graph is here. So when I say 0, 600, x-axis is still 0, right? Sorry, y-axis. Hold on. I'm confused now. In what order is translate again? It's XY. Okay, that's the confusing part, because this is X, right? Isn't it YX? Because when we said 0 and 600, 600 is the Y. Oh, that is correct. Never mind, never mind. It is moving it. Okay, so 0, 0, 0 is here, right? That's 0, 0. Now, we input 0, 600 into translate. So that means 0 for the x-axis, meaning it doesn't change, and 600 for the y-axis, meaning we come all the way down to the end of our bar's height, which is 600. And that's why it puts it there. So let me undo this so that we can see that. So it will move back. Boom. There we go. Brilliant. Why are there two things there though? Is it supposed to be like that? Did something happen? Where did the ticks get generated? Because it looks like it happens every 5 years, right? That's the data. 2010. Oh, because that's 2015 there, right? That one. And then that signifies the end of it, I guess? What do we need on the left now? We need the GDP, right? We need to display the GDP on the left. So we did it. So we call the x-axis ID x-axis transform translate 0 SVG height. Cool. Then the y-axis is append the G, call the y-axis, give it an attribute ID of ID and y-axis. Then we still need to translate, don't we? We actually do need this. Because we need to tell it where it's going to go. So now it can't be 0. Wait, it can be 0, right? Wait, let's first see what happens if we do 0, 0. I'm bad at visualizing these things. Where'd it go? I thought values would show here. Clearly not. Oh, because it's off the screen maybe? Do I need to like give it some padding? Let's do like 20. 20, 0? Because 20 is the X. Oh, we need to bring it in, right? Oh! There we go! 0, 0. Oi! Yo! How much padding does it need? 40? That's what our padding variable is going to be used for. Oh-ho! Look at us, Isaac! I think that's about right, right? That looks good. So we set this to our padding. So left. Margin left. But that's not going to be enough, is it? We're going to have to change it to 40, that variable. Yeah. So margin left is going to be 40. Now how do we add an overall padding to this? Do you see the issue there? There's 0. This needs to like shift in. We can't move the scale of it. So what can we move? When we're creating it, we set the width. What does this do though? The width plus 50. I forgot about this. Oh, is this the padding we need to account for? So if I said just SVG width and just SVG height, I think that is where we add the padding, by the way. Yes! There it is. Do you see that? Without that, it's kind of screwed. Did you see that? So with and without. But I actually want to see it without. So I can see a difference. So that's with. And this is without. What's the difference? Oh. So that's how large the SVG object must be, plus I could just set that to something, right? Let's try 200 for the width to see what that does. I'm not sure if there's a global padding, but change the transform from x-axis from 0 subject to margin something. Yeah. Where did it go, by the way? What did that change to? It doesn't seem to do much, unless I'm just being dumb. Let's make it something crazy, like 3,300. Yeah, that doesn't seem to affect it much. It's the height that seems to change. You see that? It's the height. What if I change this to 230? What does it do? I'm so confused, Isaac, because 230. Do you see what I mean? Like it. Oh. Oh, it's how much extra height we're adding on top of it. Never mind, because that's the SVG. Because it's 600 by default, but then this takes up extra space, doesn't it? So we need to know how much space that takes and then tack that on, right? I get it. So that itself is about, like, what? That seems to be 20 pixels. So should we do like 25 to be safe? So the height gets added to 25. So it displays perfectly, yeah? Oh, and then I see the width. We only care about displaying the data, so it's like how much can you use? And we don't really do anything else with it, so... So we only need to do that if, yeah, something were to affect it, which it's not. Because we're not using it fully. Okay, then the other thing is... I need to figure out now why... Like it cuts off 18,000 there at the top, do you see that? So we need to add some padding to this. Is this of the US? Oh, it is. So we should make this a title, shouldn't we? Gross domestic product of the United States. Let's get a title going in here. Whoops. Don't put the HTML in there. Gonna have a bad day if we do that. There we go. What other information can we get from this? We need a description. I need a title here on the left. You gotta go? Thank you for dropping by, Forgetful Isaac. I really appreciate it. We're making progress at least, aren't we? Which is pretty cool. Hopefully when you come by tomorrow, we'll have a completed pretty graph. Oh, there you go. That fits the If I don't have that in, it was cutting off the 2015. Is it the domain? It's this one. That's 1205. And how large is our width? 12, isn't it? Yeah, it is 1205. We could technically make this the same, plus 25. There you go. Now I need to push this in somehow. What if we did it from 30? Like that. Oh no, that's for the scales. We can't change those. It's where we add the width of the height of the bars we create. So where do we actually create? And we need to add some text, don't we? So svg dot append text. To get it in the middle, we take width divided by 2, right? So attribute x svg width divided by 2 dot attribute y height, oops, height try that. Dot text. What was the title? Gross domestic product in billions? Can I make it short? Where'd our text go? Oh, do I have to move it more in, maybe? Because it's off the screen. I think that's why. Nope. Where is the text? Where's my text? It's just not showing. Let's just try something like 50. Just to even just get it placed on this thing. No man, it's SVG height, not SVG append. No wonder. Okay, there it is. So to make it sideways, we do dot attribute. We do the whole transform again. Transform. Rotate should be negative 90 degrees. If I did that correctly, then it should be on its side now. Okay, just disappear. Maybe I have to do that first and then set its position. I don't know how these things work. Where did it go? Wait, if you put it sideways, that means it goes up a bit, doesn't it? So this needs to become negative. Negative x to bring it back. Because now they flipped, right? The x. Oh, there it is. So what if I do abs, math.abs, SVG, is it width or height? SVG height, I think. Math, not abs, not maths. Nope. What is our height? 600. Height divided by 2 to get it centered. No? Wait, but if I do... Let's just check that this is right. Math.abs 400 should give me... Oh. It's only... No wonder. Okay, I thought it would flip it. That will only flip it if it's already negative. We don't need that. So just height divided by 2. Will that work? Okay, getting somewhere. What position are you in now? -300. How did that work? Why is it minus 300? It's 400, right? Divided by 2 is 200. Why is it? Wait, height is 600, divided by 2 is 300. It's not 400. What's 400 then? Oh, there is nothing that's 400. Never mind, that is correct. What if I add a flex on this? It's just so different. How do you center y-axis label d3.js? What about the y-axis? Zero minus margin left. What is margin dot left? They specify margin dot left, but what is the actual value for it? Am I blind? Attribute x is 0 minus height divided by 2. Wait, I think I'm trying to do too much. So the x is supposed to be 0 minus, which is gets it negative, 0 minus height divided by 2, which is what we did. Okay, and then for the y, 0 minus SVG, so our margin left, right? Yeah. Whatever our margin to the left is, so 40 in this case. It's the same code though. But it didn't center it for us. Look, 0 minus 40 gives us negative 40. So why didn't that work? 0 minus SVG margin left, which is 40, will give us negative 40. What was this before? It was 50. Oh, in this case, shouldn't we do plus? 0 plus. Because ours is a bit different to this. There you go. So now it's exactly on the line. But it's not centered now. And it should have been SVG height divided by 2. Should have theoretically. Is that centered though? I don't think it is. Because in their example, theirs is perfectly centered. I think it's the positioning of where we're doing this. SVG.append. I wonder if the placement actually matters. Like if we call SVG append immediately here, does the placement actually matter? No, it still ends up being exactly the same. Zero plus margin left. So it would be 40. And SVG height, which is 600 divided by 2 is 300. So we need to calculate. Okay, so if it's 600, well, we need to put it exactly on that point, but it's not exactly on that point. It didn't put the middle of the text at that point, which would have been perfect if it did. So if I change this to gross, let me just test something. Does it put gross near the middle? Oh, it does. So because it's so large, there's so much text, it starts there but then it works its way in. That didn't help me at all. No, don't want to use another. Right? There's a default margin. There's a default margin? Oh, that's what they were talking about, right?
Search for dollars insert. It isn't what we imagined. Is that scary? I don't know.
Huh, that's smart to use a margin object. It's actually really smart. Okay, so we got margin. Okay, so according to this we need to select our so the width needs to be the width plus the margin left plus margin right. And then the height is, oh, I get how that works. The height plus the margin top plus margin bottom. So you have the height plus your margins all around. That makes sense. Okay. Let's see what that does for us, if anything. Still need to call our so our X scale, the next one that gets generated by this up here is based on our width. Perfect. And our Y scale is based on our height. So those work. And then our x-axis and our y-axis, axis bottom, and then we have the x and the y, which we've done, which is just the height minus the d. The bar width is the width divided by the data size. Okay, so we've got that. Should probably round it up, shouldn't we? So math.ceil. That way we will always get a perfect number. So we got the bar width, and then the bar height should be the height minus wait. Just d being the value. What if we did y scale? Is that wrong? SVG height minus Y scale. Can we have Y scale? Where's my Y scale? Why are you complaining? Dot attribute, dot attribute. So what do you want me to put there then? Scale linear, the value. So why is it not accepting it then? Whatever. I gotta figure out how to do the labels afterwards. That looks better now. No, it doesn't look as blocky as it did. Because before what we used was we literally just had this. And that's like, yeah, no. Adding the seal, that fixed that up. Now it's a solid color. It's very jagged though. And I think that's based on the height, isn't it? There's also the sample size that you can set to smooth it out a bit more. Or the zoom level as they refer to it. Alright, well I think I'm happy with that for now. Can I end off the stream here and then we'll come back to it? We made progress. We finally have an X and Y axis. So that's good. Definite progress. Tomorrow we can add the rest and we can work on visualizing and the tooltips and everything that we need to do. Pretty up all this. The prettying gets done at the end. It's the functionality that has to work. And let's see how far we're passing. 12 or 14, not bad. Not bad at all. That's pretty cool. So we just need the tooltips, which we don't have. It's literally just the tooltips that is preventing us from passing now. Yay! A little less frustrating than it was yesterday. I think the more of an understanding that we build on this, the easier it becomes. I'm excited for this though. Putting it up will be easy. I just want to figure out how scales work. I want to figure out how to make it a little less jaggy than it is right now. Like smooth it out a bit more. And then figure out how I'm going to center this here. Maybe we'll just use CSS. I'll stop trying to play around with the translate coordinates. And then figure out how we can shift this entire thing in. Because I think we set it at 0, so it has to kind of be there, minus that or something. Well, actually, let's test something before I leave. Was it the... Oh, it wasn't the bar, it was the x-axis, right? So it's translate margin dot left, right? Let's try that real quick, see if it pushes it in. No. I mean, it moved it, but it didn't move, obviously, the bars and everything. So it's obviously not that. Will probably be a combination of two things, but we'll get to that tomorrow. That's fine. So yeah, until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.